The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Hello and welcome to another Soccer to the Max. And we got the full crew here on this one, so should be interesting. It'll probably be more of a brief edition of the show. Yes, we do know that the MLS Cup final set, but it's still a couple of days, still we got till Saturday till that game, so we got some time to preview that. And it's been a while since the game, so but we have a huge thing called the World Cup draw to talk about. Plus, the NWSL is making some coaching hires and an interesting move as far as another person that could be running for U.S. soccer president. Good Lord, do we need another one? I feel like all of U.S. soccer is running for the presidency. Plus, the Stanford women win another national championship. My goodness. So, Rachael is here. How are you this late evening?
Sore throat, but I'm managing to get through, and I'm ready to talk some soccer.
And Erik is here as well.
Oh, angry about Paul Pogba. Kind of miffed that I didn't call the rematch, but life goes on. I've had my own shenanigans during our absence.
I called half the rematch, and I think Rachael called the other half the rematch. You had Seattle getting there, right, to the final? Do you not remember?
I think I did.
I had Toronto winning it, so it's still possible. Even though the way Seattle whooped Houston, man, that's gonna be. I hope they actually play this year and not. Let's play not to lose, like last season. Oof, that was some game I didn't want to watch.
And this shows me why I shouldn't put my faith in teams like Vancouver and Chicago.
Yeah. Hey, Chicago does have a winning history. Uh, in the 90s, but still winning history. So let's start with the biggest thing on tap for the World Cup draw. It happened. Rachael has a wonderful analysis post on WTMnet.com, which you can go read right now, called the FIFA World Cup draw results and analysis. And they changed the way that you do the pots this time so that you don't have the geographical regions and it's more just a straight draw based on the FIFA ranking. I think if you're, your team Russia there, Rachael, you got to be happy with this draw. You got Uruguay you got to deal with, but Egypt, Saudi Arabia, not too bad.
Yeah, but it's also boring too, and I think the problem with the group is, it's pretty easy. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we make it through, but at the same time, the tournament's being held on our home turf, 11 different cities, and the Russian people wanted to see maybe an interesting game or two, and they're probably not gonna get that. You're opening up the World Cup with Russia and Saudi Arabia. It's not too thrilling, but in terms of the probability of us making it through, it's a good group to have, but it's a boring group to have.
I think Saudi Arabia is the only sort of outlier. Egypt plays good when I've seen games where they played well. They have some stars, and of course Uruguay with Suarez and company. That's going to be a game that that's going to be Russia's last game. Well, we'll have to see where they're at that point because Egypt could take points off people. Could be an interesting group, surely, Erik. This you got World Cup champs and World Cup hosts, and then a bunch of other teams.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of these groups, and like I was saying about the scheduling, I feel somewhat shafted on the games that are going to be played June 23rd because that's my birthday, and it's like, oh, really? I got these, but you may have like a concrete group of death with Mexico. You got a definite group of life, which I believe is Group H, but other than that, I just want to see how this pans out. I don't think we're going to get a lot of the excitement and scoring that we had in 2014, but I'm also hoping above all hope we don't get the drab fest that we got in South Africa.
Yeah, I mean, not every game's going to be great, but I agree with you. You want some entertaining footy on the field, and are they doing the whole Russia plays the first game by itself on the 14th, and then they have 3 games the next day? Is that how that works?
I believe so.
Oh boy, talk about. All right, let's get on to June 15th while we're at it. But the reason you will be happy about that if you're a neutral is because it's Portugal and Spain in Group B, Iberian neighbors along with Morocco, very very close to each other, and then you got Iran just there. So it seems like Portugal, Spain, up for them to just take this thing between the two of them.
Yeah, although I don't know. To me, I really think, especially with everything going on with Cristiano Ronaldo, this could be Portugal's group. And I really think for that one, they're liable to beat Spain.
I mean, Spain ran through qualifying though, and what form is Ronaldo going to be in? Are we getting the Ronaldo right now, who's not played very well, or are we getting the Ronaldo we're used to seeing? That's the question, Rachel, because even though Portugal's got talent, they still rely on number 7.
Yeah, and I mean, it's Cristiano Ronaldo. You're not going to sit around and look at their group and think, nah, Portugal's not going to do much. But then again, that's also what they said in 2014, and the United States made it out of the group of death. So it'll be an interesting match. It'll be an interesting group. I'm really looking forward to that Spain-Portugal match. But, I mean, I think Cristiano Ronaldo, yeah, he's not doing as well as he'd like to at the club level. But, I mean, it's still Cristiano Ronaldo. He's going to give us a show.
Erik, do you think that, Morocco surprised people getting in here, winning the group that they did, but they're the only opposing country to the U.S. for the 2026 World Cup. You think that they kind of need to show up here to show FIFA, hey, we're progressing as a footballing nation?
I really think so, but in terms of, hey, progressing, seeing what they really need to do, if they don't go, say, 0-3 and have a -10 goal difference, because that's where everybody thinks that they're going to be. If they can come out of this with 3-4 points, have at least a chance of making it to the knockout stage on the last match day, I think that could be enough to turn some heads, maybe sway a couple of votes. Anything beyond that would just be a surplus for them.
Well, moving on to Group C, you got France, who probably had the most loaded team coming into this entire thing, and we're months out, but you look at who plays for France, who could potentially be on that 23. You talk about a who's who of Europe on that team, not to mention Mbappe and N'Golo Kante and everybody. I mean, they literally have a star at each position. But it's France, and we've seen them, sometimes they don't play like France. You got Australia in here. Man, you win a playoff and you get stuck in this group. Peru, both the playoff teams, and then Denmark as well. Is it the two European teams, or you think Peru could maybe be a surprise?
Oh, I think Peru could pull off something because, if anything, with the coaching situation that's going on right now, it wouldn't surprise me if the Socceroos turn a little bit into whipping boys for this group. I mean, they have just, between Cahill not committing, their coach deciding to say, hey, I'm done, I did what I felt I had to do, they're just high and dry, and they don't have the time to really recover and get themselves ready for this tournament. It's a bit of a shame, but that's where they are.
Yeah, what do you think about our boy Jurgen possibly coaching Australia? Rachel, I mean, you
Good.
think
It's
he
about
makes a
time he gets back
difference?
in it. It's about time he gets back into the game.
Yeah, get Tim Cahill to show up and hit those headers. That's what they need. I just couldn't imagine that. Another guy we're going to talk about later. There's a lot of talk that if he plays well, he could show up again. That Cahill's really not going to be there for Australia in the freaking World Cup, but you're going to help them qualify? It seems weird. I have to imagine
Yeah,
he's going to be there, though.
yeah, I want to see how the saga develops. I mean, I guess for Australia, thankfully it's December, so you still have 6 months, but you don't want to go into 2018 with this kind of a question mark.
Yeah, no coach, no star forward, and you're in the World Cup. Oof. Not looking good for you, but you got time to figure it out. The Group D, Argentina in here, Iceland, Croatia, and they get stuck with. I don't know how many World Cups Argentina has had Nigeria, but it is quite a number. So here we go again. And this could be a tricky, a really tricky group. You got a different playing style that you got to deal with for every team if you're Argentina.
And not to mention for this one, we talked about Cristiano Ronaldo for Portugal. Look at Lionel Messi for Argentina. With what happened with Copa America and the Centenario and the last World Cup, he's really realizing, if I'm going to be in any conversation and solidify my legacy, I've got to do something and win at least once. I think he's going to be super motivated, which is going to be a big plus. Now, I don't know with the rest of the makeup of the team around him. Because, yeah, well, you have still a good core. There's been some key shakeups, and I don't know how flexible they are in dealing with all these different attacking styles.
All right, Rachel, I mean, Erik brings up a good point there about Argentina having to deal with a lot, but you got Croatia that's looked really good. Nigeria was undefeated through qualifying, and Iceland, I mean, they've been the surprise. Do you think Argentina has a tough time here? Like maybe lose a game or get a couple draws and have to go to the end?
I would love to see them lose against Iceland. And I think everybody is just pulling for Iceland to not even win the tournament, but at least do well and get out of the group stage. I think Argentina is going to have a really tough time, and I think that the match to watch is going to be Argentina and Nigeria just because of how good Nigeria was throughout qualifying.
Yeah, and that's the one at the end. So if, let's say, Nigeria loses a game and they're looking for a draw to try to get through. Argentina, who knows what happens. I mean, this could be one of those groups that every game is going to be big. And when that final day comes, all four of those teams are trying to get. I mean, it could be one of those. That would be really fun. Hopefully it happens. But you're right, Erik. I mean, a lot of people talk about you want to be in that class with the Pelés and Maradonas and the old Ronaldo and all that. You got to win a World Cup, and I'm sure Messi knows that this is probably his last one. Speaking of Brazil, they're heading up Group E. Switzerland, I feel like Brazil's been in a group with Switzerland several times as well. Costa Rica and Serbia. Whew, Costa Rica did not get a nice group here at all. You got Neymar, a Switzerland team which is always tough, and Serbia who will knock you out of the park here if you're not careful. But Costa Rica, of course, they show that they're tough to break down the last World Cup. Can they do this again? I mean, you'd think people would have tape on them now that they're not going to be the surprise they were last time.
Really not even close. And I'm going to see between Switzerland and Serbia who gets that second spot. I mean, they've got the middle match in the group, which doesn't really add to a whole bunch of drama that you would like, but that's going to be the one I keep an eye out on, because, I mean, Brazil, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they get 7 points, win the group, although in my head and in my heart, realistically, this should be more of a cakewalk. But if anything, that's going to be the one intriguing match. And the more I'm seeing some of these groups with these CONCACAF teams, the more I'm thinking, man, we kind of dodged a bit of a bullet.
Yeah, the idea is that the U.S. would have been in Panama's spot, probably.
Yeah, but we'll get to Panama's group, but
Hey, the U.S. have played England tough before. We got out of the group with England in 2010, so.
Yeah, yes, but at the same time, there's that and Belgium on top of that. Lest we forget, round of 16.
Yeah, true. You won't have Tim Howard standing on his head, or you wouldn't.
No.
For that one, but the U.S. not in this tournament, so we gotta look at Costa Rica, and they only got 3 teams in here, and then Mexico, of course, they got a really tough group here. I don't think that there is a group of death in this tournament this year, but or in 2018, but if you're going to say there's one that's close, it's Group F. Germany, your defending World Cup champions. They've knocked Mexico out of the tournament twice, and the Confed Cup that happened last year. Sweden, which if Zlatan plays well for Man United, the rumors are that he could come back for one last hurrah. And then you got South Korea, which they're really kind of an unknown because, a lot of people still think of them from the 2002 years. That's not the same anymore. But, yeah, it's still some tough competition for Mexico to get through here. You got to get the 3 points against South Korea, and then it's kind of a mixed bag. Rachael, I mean, I saw some folks. I think it was on Fox. I think it was either Alexi or someone else said Mexico might as well just play. If Osorio's going to do the rotation, do it against Germany because you're going to lose, and then just play the other two. Would you do that, or you playing the strong side against Germany and see what you get?
That's tricky because I think we all know the fate of how they're going to do against Germany. But then again, it's the World Cup. Anything could happen. I'd say play your best against Germany. Maybe at least get a draw because, a draw, that's still a point. So give it the best 11 you've got and hope for the best.
You think that they can beat Sweden? I mean, this is a Sweden team that knocked Italy out. So, I mean...
Yeah, I think they can. I think they can do it.
You think Zlatan shows up? Or will
No.
they put him on the team?
Put him on the team, yeah. Get playing time? Probably not.
Yeah, I think it really just comes down on... I don't know if so much the coach. I think it's the players if they want him. Because, you know, he's got that ego about him, obviously. And the team kind of becomes all about him once he's there. And that changes the whole dynamic of that team, which was playing much better without him there. Erik, what do you see here with this group? Really, it's obviously going to come down to Mexico, Sweden. And I don't know. I think Mexico might find themselves out of the group stage for once.
Yeah, and with Juan Carlos Osorio, whatever whiteboard, chalkboard, picking names out of a hat, whatever mechanism that he uses to tinker with his lineups are really going to be into overdrive. Because I don't know how he's going to try to find the right adjustments to get this team to qualify. I mean, they are most liable to pick up 3 points against South Korea, but then that's it. And I really don't think even 4 is going to cut it. You're going to need 6, and I don't see a second win for this team.
Well, I mean, if everybody beats South Korea, and let's say Germany also beats everybody, you're talking about now 2 teams having 4 points. That's going to be very interesting how that goes with the goal difference and all that, if it's Sweden and Mexico, if it comes down to that. So.
Yeah, and again, and they're lucky that that's the last match of the group. So, that's going to be extremely telling.
You get Group G with Belgium, Panama, Tunisia, and England. Of course, winners in 1966. Since then, not much going on for England. Belgium has the other team that is absolutely deep, another who's who of stars, Roberto Martinez, coaching them to go forward and score. Panama really got the short end of the stick here. Their only shot is to get the 3 points against Tunisia, and let's see what happens. We've seen England likes to play down to their competition a lot. Is it a foregone conclusion, Belgium-England, pretty much?
I'm going to think so, especially because you can't afford to play down to your competition, not this year, not this group. And you just mentioned, look at what their junior teams have done over the past, 2, 3, 4 years. What has the senior team done? Some of them are still touting the glory of 66 on home soil, but for the vast majority of fans, that's not cutting it. They've got to do something, and they realize time's now.
Is it a pretty much done deal, Belgium-England, for you too, Rachel? Uh-oh.
Oh, my bad. Nope, connection sucks on the phone. But I'm like, I love me some upsets, but I don't know with this World Cup. I really want to play it safe.
I just love Panama to go into. I think they would play Tunisia last.
Yes.
How that works.
Yep.
So I'd love for them to go and get a point off one of the other teams, at least. if not pull the big upset. They just need another phantom goal. That's what they need.
I don't know. I mean, England has been a victim of things like that before. Maybe it happens there.
We've seen VAR just completely miss stuff, so why not? Why not? It could happen. It could happen.
Bring some of that CONCACAF magic with you.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally see them CONCACAFing England or something to get somebody sent off with a Blas Ferris. Oh, he elbowed me in the face, so I fell down and rolled 20 times. I'm waiting for it. I mean, just great. You have been CONCACAFed, England. Take it. So, Group H is the only group to not have a previous World Cup winner in it. And you have Poland, who was somehow the number 1 seed here, Senegal, Colombia, and Japan. The group of life, if there is one, watch out for Senegal with Mane. Colombia still has the remnants of that very interesting team from Brazil. And, Japan's always one you got to figure out, and Poland as well with Lewandowski. Who do you think? Really, I think this was kind of a toss-up here.
I'm giving it to Colombia.
I'm not giving the group to Colombia, but I am digging Los Cafeteros to go second. It wouldn't surprise me if Senegal winds up taking this one.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Senegal takes it either, but I'm going to say Poland actually lives up to their seeding and gets this one. But we'll break this all down when we get a much closer to the World Cup. This is just kind of, hey, the draw's there. Why not talk about it? You know who's going to be playing who when you get to June 14th and beyond. Gonna be interesting how this is done. We've already seen the difference in the coverage, right? Telemundo had everybody there at the ceremony, and Fox had the wonderful Fernando Fiore there, and that was it. So I mean, I will love to see Fernando on my TV, as much as possible. He is hilarious, and also he's he actually knows the game or whatever, even though Fox likes to point him as the comic relief. But yeah, this is all going to be interesting. Who what's better to watch? Andres Cantor doing his goal, or we get Landon Donovan doing his deal. So.
All I'm going to say is this. My birthday is Saturday the 23rd. I get a triple header. Germany, Sweden, South Korea, Mexico, Belgium, and Tunisia. How drunk I get that night will depend in part upon whatever television coverage for these matches I am treated to. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying.
Okay. I feel bad for you. I'm sorry. Maybe in 2022 I'll have a game on my birthday. I don't know how that's going to work.
Well, Fox, it's up to you. My liver's going to depend on you. No pressure.
There you go. Make sure that Erik is still alive and well on the 23rd by giving him some interesting soccer here. Before we get to the NWSL moves, just wanted to point out that remember Nisa, the group by Peter Wilt that was supposed to head up a Division III league? They have been postponed till maybe spring of 2018, if not 2019, because they were supposed to have 8 teams and they were only able to approve 3. One of them being Miami, but somehow MLS can't still get Miami. Chattanooga, Connecticut, and Miami are the three teams that are in NISA right now. They had Charlotte, Omaha, Milwaukee, and St. Louis have to make improvements, and Phoenix just got outright rejected by
How do you
NISA.
have to make improvements to be Division 3?
Peter Wolf's got some high standards apparently. So the USL is also starting the Division 3 too, so that may also be a problem as to why they can't get all the teams. But they're apparently talking to like 25 different teams, so who knows? But just
Look,
a
I can throw
thought.
25 darts at a board and get more than 3 bullseyes or more than 3 triple 20s. Something's going on here.
You said it, sir. You said it. So Rachel, I mean, you haven't been on since the whole deal with FC Kansas City getting replaced by Real Salt Lake, and then of course them hiring Laura Harvey as their first ever head coach. What do you think?
Well, I'm happy Laura Harvey's back in the NWSL because I think if anybody can keep the sport afloat and keep the league popular, it's her. Everybody seems to love her. I love her. I think she's a great coach. It's sad that FC Kansas City got or folded and aren't really operating anymore because Kansas City is such a big soccer city, especially when you see Sporting Kansas City. But I think their owner he had the team for a year and he just didn't do anything. He didn't care. He didn't want to do anything with it. So I'd rather see it go to a team or an owner that actually cares and wants to make strides with it.
Yeah, I mean, it was surprising that Real Salt Lake was apparently, they were 2 years away, and all of a sudden now they're claiming this team. Erik and I talked about that apparently the Boston Breakers were supposed to be that team, and somehow the Kansas City problems were even more dire, so they just replaced them instead. And yeah, this is going to be we've seen how Real Salt Lake they have a very great soccer environment going on. They got the Real Monarchs in USL. Now you add the NWSL team. Hey, who would have thought Utah, great soccer city for the U.S. Before all this is going on. So, Erik, I mean, what do you think about this Real Salt Lake team? Do you think they maybe make a splash in the first season?
I think with their approach, wanting to get really the best of FC Kansas City on board and really trying to build around them rather than getting a team from scratch, I think that's a positive move, and it wouldn't surprise me if they get a couple big wins first part of the season and they keep themselves in a playoff conversation. They made a very solid approach to this, and I think it's going to pay off.
What do you think about RSL's chances in the first year, Rachel?
Well, they're actually called the Utah Royals now. They actually got their name. But I don't really see them making the playoffs, but I'd like to see them finish in maybe 5th or 6th.
Utah Royals. Nice ring to it. There's been worse
Yeah.
names.
I mean, it could work easier, their ties there than in Kansas City, so.
Yeah, at least it wasn't something morbid. We're good there. Sky Blue. I don't know how this works if Sky Blue gets any of this. What their majority owner is going to get in a raise. But Phil Murphy, Sky Blue FC's majority owner, he's now the New Jersey governor. So while he's sitting here helping bring the appointment of Denise Reddy into Sky Blue to replace Christy Hawley, who stepped down. And she played 10 years in Sweden, coached in Sweden, got her UEFA Pro license. Looks like she's very qualified to be taking this position, but interesting on two fronts here for Sky Blue. Now you got the New Jersey Governor as one of your owners and a new coach. What do you think, Rachel? Is Sky Blue all of a sudden going to be a team to reckon with next season now? Phone is...
I don't know. I mean, my thing is, if you already have Sam Kerr on your team, how the heck can you not do well? But at the same time, they didn't have a complete team this last year, so they need a complete team. And if they can get that paired with Sam Kerr, then they should be good.
Erik, you think this is going to make a difference for Sky Blue?
I would hope so. I think it will. But if I've learned anything about the New Jersey area, it's expect the unexpected. So while I'm rooting for the firepower up top to really bring a good change on the pitch, I wouldn't be surprised if something goes wrong, things snowball, and Sky Blue just craters.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say that when you got Sam Kerr and she can will you into wins. But yeah, I feel like with you're getting more of a different. You're not getting so much only an American presence in the league, and that also extends to coaching. So I think she's going to do fine. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still about tactics, and this is the number one. This is still one of the biggest leagues in the world. So I don't think it's like when you go to MLS and you have to make this big old adjustment to what that is. This is much more like what she'd be used to seeing. So I don't know that she has to make too much. It's more about the team and making sure you construct that right to build something good around Kerr, and that's the important part. She can put the goals in, but if you don't have a defense and people that can get her the service, it's not going to matter. And replacing Laura Harvey, returning also to NWSL, Vlatko Antonovsky from Macedonia. Led Kansas City to be back-to-back NWSL champions in 14 and 15. So Seattle loses one really good coach and replaces it with another. So they should keep rolling, right?
I mean, as long as the system really doesn't change too much, keep the train moving.
Smart decision by Seattle here, Rachel? Or?
I guess. I mean, if they want to win, then have a coach that's done it before.
Yeah, I feel like, this is a kind of the movie you're used to seeing from teams, really. You're going to take one veteran presence and replace it with the same, a proven winner instead of going with a, younger coach that maybe you got to remember some of the players on that. Yeah, that's a Megan Rapinoe team. They want to win, and then they want to win soon. So, if you bring in somebody that's not proven, maybe you have another down season or a season where you almost make it and may not be enough for what they need right there. But, hey, there's a coaching carousel in college football and a coaching carousel in the NWSL too. So, why not? Lots of things happening. Anything else y'all want to discuss here before we get out of here? Oh, well, Anthony Hudson got hired finally. for Colorado.
Yes, mailman. They're sneaking up on us. Although I can't say this time I'm mad because it is Colorado and they really can't do worse.
He does have U.S. ties too, so it's not like he's just coming from England and or coming from the New Zealand national team as well and just taking the post. He's played here before. He's coached here. It's not the same necessarily as when he did that, but
Once a mailman, always a mailman in my heart.
that's what matters at the end of the day. He can join Marinovic and Voxel and bring us into Colorado.
Exactly, the Colorado mailman. New logo and everything. Different colors. I can see it now. I need an illustrator on this. Tweet me at Squid Sportshead. I have some ideas I need to run past some people.
What are you gonna put the all whites logo there underneath on the underside of the shirt?
Maybe,
So they can all...
maybe. I wouldn't mind doing like along the sea with the state flag and the all logo mixed together, but have it as a mailman's uniform, or maybe one on one and the other on the mailbag itself. Damn it! If only I could draw.
a conundrum for Erik on the show.
Oh, don't get me started on conundrums. That's a different story altogether.
And finally, you got the MLS Best 11, which, I really don't know that I can argue with any of these, honestly. You got Joseph Martinez, David Villa, Nemanja Nikolic, Javinko, Victor Vasquez, Valeri, Almiron, Kendall Waston, Opara, Justin Morrow, and Tim Melia. I mean, talk about a best 11. Those were 11 of the best this entire season.
Yeah, wow. Boy, did they get something right for once.
Anybody you'd switch out? Rachel, I just can't. I think
Me
they got
neither.
it spot on here.
Looks good to me.
I'm happy that Vasquez, who was probably the signing of the entire season, got in. I was wondering if he would. So good for Toronto. No Bradley and no Josie. So I'm sure some people will be very happy about that. They don't have to boo the MLS Best 11 as well. And Venezuela getting some love with Joseph Martinez, so I'm happy about that. Okay.
Well, I mean, come on. Really, look at what he did for Atlanta.
Yeah, no doubt that when he was in there, he was scoring. It's what he does. And I just want to say thank you, Everton, for signing Big Sam so he can stop talking about the U.S. men's national team job.
I think somehow I have a feeling, knowing Sam, this could be temporary. Yeah, he's already got a big win in his pocket, but it's November, or it's December now, so...
Well, you aren't wrong. If Everton, doesn't do well or barely survives, the season ends in May. After the World Cup, they could...
Exactly. Let's see where we are come, say, April and going into the run-in. This just shut him up for about 4 or 5 months.
I still feel like Osorio's the man, even if they bomb out in the group stage. But we'll see how that goes.
It depends on... Well, there's 2 sets of Mexican expectations. There's the expectations they want to have, and you're more rabbits. And then there's the expectations that they should have. If they can lean towards the expectations that they should have, that this isn't going to be the best of tournaments, then yes, he'll keep his job. But if they have the expectations of, hey, we can get to the knockout stage and we can do this and we can do that, then there's going to be pitchforks, torches, burning an effigy, calls for his head, etc., etc., etc.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you're not kidding, because even if Mexico were to get out of the group, and let's say they for somehow win it and avoid Brazil, you're still talking about like a tough team like Switzerland, or even having Costa Rica knock you out again. That's not out of the realm of possibility. So, I mean, yeah, I know you want that quinto partido, but none of that is guaranteed at all for Mexico, and the fans need to start looking at it like that. You got a really tough draw. Worry about getting out first. But either way, people have been itching to get Osorio out of there, so this will just be the excuse. And hey, U.S. might welcome him with open arms at that point. But all right, I think that's what we're going to cover for today. Hopefully you enjoyed what you heard here, and if you do, we'll be back at some point this week to make sure we preview the MLS Cup final and whatever else is going on, because right after that they have that signing period for like 4 hours or whatever it is, and then they have a draft already the couple days after that. Their off season just doesn't end. And they already had people not have the options picked up, which we'll go over that more once the playoffs and once that final's over and you're talking about the off season. I didn't really want to bog people down with, hey, this guy got released. Who cares? So, but yeah, until sometime later in the week. We'll see you later, and bye, folks.
Peace.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.